Sawadee ka. Only 7 years since its inception, Etihad Airways has become the world's fastest growing commercial airline in history. How did Etihad do it? And what are the challenges that lie ahead? I talked to CEO, Chief Operating Officer James Hogan on these issues. James, is the travel industry right now in a very difficult time because we're having the Middle East crisis, we're having rising oil prices, Japan's nuclear crisis, and some economic crisis in some European countries?
One of the challenges for the travel industry is that we're obviously always going through some type of crisis, whether it be the volcano last year in Europe, whether it be the freeze of the European airports in December, or as you say, the challenges that we face this year. So one has to adapt. And in the airline industry, due to the global nature of our business, we have to redeploy capacity to manage that shock. That's a fact of working in this business. We are impacted by economic cycles, by war, by tsunami, by SARS. So that's a fact of life because you're dealing with people, you're dealing with factors, quite frankly, that are outside your control. So the key is to ensure that you're agile and you move through it as fast as you can, or you take steps to ensure you mitigate as much as the risk.
Which of these factors actually impact the airline industry the most right now?
Well, quite depends on where you deploy your capacity. We're obviously an airline based out of the Gulf. We're based out of Abu Dhabi, which is the capital of the United Arab Emirates. So the challenges obviously in North Africa hit the Middle East airlines, as did the challenges in Cairo. One of the first, quite frankly, actions for us was to work with the government to bring nationals out of Egypt back to Abu Dhabi. It also impacted tour business coming out of all regions of the world over Abu Dhabi into Egypt. We then saw the challenges obviously within the Gulf itself, which slowed down some of the business traffic, but that's part of running an airline. The main concern for me has been the impact of the oil price. We continue to see the increase in oil. It's a major part of not only our cost base, but all airlines. We're fortunate, we're hedged at 75% for this calendar year. And for the first half of this year, we're hedged at 80%. So, we have a hedging cycle which is rolling 3 years. So we're hedged at 75% this year. As of today, I'm hedged at 50% in 2012 and 25% in 2013. So we use hedging as a mechanism to give us certainty in our business year because we know there's going to be different shocks, not only this year, but next year and the year after.
How competitive is the market right now?
Well, it depends what segment you're looking at. If you look at the Asian market, and obviously you look at Thailand, Thailand is a very important market of ours, and we bring predominantly Europeans in for leisure, so that whether that be from the UK, from France and Germany. We bring people from the Gulf for medical tourism and for leisure tourism. And of course from the system we're bringing business travellers in to Thailand also. So when you look at airlines, that's segmentation and revenue management, that determines what price you set. At the moment, Thailand is very attractive because we're trying to bring more people out of Europe. Because of the economic challenges in Europe, we're having to stimulate the market to get more Europeans to come to Thailand. And what is important is that as we work with people like Bangkok Airways, as we're offering greater distribution not only into Bangkok, but into the other regions, into the leisure destinations of Thailand. We put 2 Boeing 777s into Thailand every day. That's a big capacity, over 800 seats. So it's very important that we are working with the tour operators. We're currently working with the Tourism Department of Thailand to stimulate more business to ensure that people are coming here and spending 7 or 14 days, depending on their package. And at the same time, it gives us the mass coming out of Thailand into the Gulf as we take people home, but also as we bring Thai people into the Gulf to work. As you know, there are many Thais working in the construction companies. There's also many Thais, for example, working in my airline in cabin crew and pilots. So, we see business going in both directions. It's not just one direction.
But is Asia your growing market?
Well, we're a global airline. We're only 7 years old. We're the fastest growing airline in the history of commercial aviation, and we have a major footprint here in Asia, in India, also in Australasia, in Europe and in the Americas. We're a global business. But obviously Asia and India is a very important market due to the size of the population, the opening of the markets, whether that be people from the region travelling over the Gulf to Europe, or people from Europe coming over the Gulf into Southeast Asia. That's very strong traffic flows in both directions.
What about China? How much focus are you giving?
Well, China, for us, is a very important market. We fly into Beijing. We actually have the ability to fly into Shanghai and also other cities of China. Our freighter operation flies into many more Chinese cities. If you look at our recovery since the global financial crisis, it's been cargo that's come back much faster than passenger. And with our freighters, they're being deployed in China and in India and in the Gulf, and it's been that cargo business coming out of China that has been very strong. China as a destination moving forward is very important. If you look at the BRIC economies of the world, we see the power of India, the power of China, the power of Brazil, and you'll see our network map that over the coming years.
Mm-hmm. How did Etihad do it? Become the fastest growing commercial airline in history?
Well, when you set up a business from scratch, and if you look at airlines, we compete with legacy carriers, whether it be people like British Airways or Thai or Qantas. They're good airlines, they've been around a long time. In setting up an airline that's just 7 years old, I've got a clean sheet of paper. So the first thing you do is look at what they've done well and look at what they've done bad. Don't do what they've done bad, look at what they've done well. So obviously if you look at the Asian carriers, great focus on service. And we're likewise, we have nationalities, over 100 different nationalities in the airline. We have a very strong focus on service, whether you be in first class, business class and economy. And being an airline with the average age of your aircraft of 4 years old, the most modern fleet in the world, it means that the product, the seats, the in-flight entertainment, the service is best in class. And the mandate I have from my shareholder, which is the government of Abu Dhabi, is to build an airline that is best in class where we decide to compete. To obviously build an airline that has an impact on the economy, it has a multiplying effect, but also an airline that is safe and an airline that makes money. So when I look at all those things together, you see some great airlines like Singapore Airlines, Global Airline. We're going to be a mid-size airline. We're at this crossroad of the world in Abu Dhabi where within 3 hours flying time I've got the Gulf states, I've got the Middle East, and I've got the Indian subcontinent. Our population combined, that of the size of China. So the key is how do we develop a network that crosses the world? We can fly non-stop to all points of the world. So for the consumer, whether they go from Australia to London, it's one stop or it's non-stop. And then a destination, Abu Dhabi, one of the fastest growing leisure destinations in the world, the Grand Prix, the Louvre, the Guggenheim. So it's how you bring this all together to build a brand, to build an airline, and build a destination. And all that's coming together in the way that we're building this new airline called Etihad.
Talking about service, I think all airlines are focusing on service. How do you actually differentiate yourself?
Well, you've got to, from the top down, believe in service. Certainly, having been in this industry since 1975 and worked in many service roles myself, working at airports, working in sales, working in marketing, working in brand, understanding segmentation. At the end of the day, with an aircraft, once it goes, you can't fill those seats. So the trick is to build a brand that has a reputation for service through its people. And, with our staff, there's a huge amount of focus on service training, on understanding the segmentation of the airline, and ensuring that whether you come from London, whether you come from Pakistan, whether you come from Bangkok, whether you come from Australia, we treat people with respect. one of the strong values of the Gulf of Abu Dhabi is respect. And we endeavour to thread that through the business. I call it can-do. So if it's a elderly passenger that we go out of our way to make sure they're comfortable, they're in the right seat. If it's a mother with a baby, do they get the blanket, does she get the towel? Is somebody with a special meal? That's absolutely. And if you fly with us, or when you fly with us, you'll see that you know, our cabins in first class, our beds in business class, our economy product with 600 hours of in-flight entertainment is certainly focused on ensuring you enjoy the journey. Because if you think you're going to be traveling from, you know, Bangkok, from Thailand up to Abu Dhabi, then to Europe, it's important that the offering is best in class, because as you say, there's some great Asian carriers on our doorstep that we have to compete against. If you consider in you know, if you consider in 2006, sorry, we were 52 in Skytrax. Last year we were number 6, which is one of the key indicators of airline service. In the World Travel Awards for the last 2 years, we've been awarded Best Airline in the World. The first Middle East airline to win that award before us was Singapore Airlines. So they're indicators. So what the market is saying, we like what Etihad is building. We like the service proposition. And I like that, because that means that helps me head towards profitability. Because at the end of the day, the most important person on board the aircraft is the customer. So if we thread that through the culture, the ethos, we'll win. So will the customer.